Having a U.S. passport used to mean easy travel, but that's no longer the case. Many countries are now deporting Americans for reasons beyond serious crimes, like overstaying, minor legal issues, or cultural conflicts. With stricter immigration laws and rising anti-Western sentiment, the risk of being sent home is growing. Before we begin, please like and subscribe the channel. Let's look at 10 countries where Americans are increasingly being deported, sometimes for surprising reasons. Number 1. Russia. Russia has become one of the most complex and unpredictable countries for Americans to navigate. Tensions between Washington and Moscow are at an all-time high, and the political environment in Russia has led to a surge in deportations of U.S. citizens, often under vague or unspecified charges. Americans have been expelled for alleged visa violations, engaging in political discourse, or even attending public gatherings deemed anti-government. The Russian government views many foreign nationals and individuals as potential threats to its internal stability. Journalists, students, and even tourists have faced interrogation, detention, and deportation, sometimes without clear explanations. In some instances, Americans have been declared persona non grata, resulting in a permanent ban from returning to Russia. Even business travelers are not immune. American entrepreneurs have experienced sudden deportations after being accused of violating business conduct laws, often without trial. As geopolitical tensions escalate, Russia is increasingly treating American visitors with suspicion, and any minor misstep can result in an unceremonious one-way flight back home. Number 2. India. India may not immediately come to mind when considering countries with high deportation rates, but in recent years, there has been a noticeable uptick in Americans being forced to leave due to overstays, unauthorized work, and religious activities. India's immigration system has become more digitized and strict, particularly for long-term visitors and volunteers. Americans traveling to India for spiritual retreats, yoga, or charity work often enter on tourist visas. However, engaging in unpaid work or speaking publicly about religion can be interpreted as violating visa terms. In many cases, U.S. citizens have been detained and deported for proselytizing or participating in religious gatherings, even unintentionally. Furthermore, India has a complex bureaucratic visa renewal process, and failing to update one's visa or register with the local Foreigners Regional Registration Office (FRO) can result in immediate deportation. With growing national security concerns and a push to regulate foreign influence, India is no longer overlooking violations by Westerners, including Americans. Number 3. Indonesia. Indonesia, particularly the island of Bali, has become a hotspot for digital nomads, many of whom are Americans. However, the local government is now cracking down on foreigners who violate visa terms, misuse social media, or engage in disrespectful behavior. Bali's governor has openly stated that foreign visitors who disrupt the cultural and moral fabric of society will be immediately deported. Numerous cases have emerged of Americans being deported for working remotely while on a tourist visa, posting inappropriate content online, or failing to comply with basic dress codes and religious customs in sacred areas. Some Americans have even faced deportation for traffic violations or disrespecting temple grounds. Immigration authorities regularly monitor foreigners' social media accounts and compare them with visa records. If an American is found promoting a business, conducting work, or simply living beyond what's expected on a tourist visa, they could be detained, fined, and blacklisted. Indonesia is making its stance clear. Follow the rules, or you will be shown the exit. Number 4. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is one of the most conservative countries in the world, and Americans working there, primarily in sectors like oil, education, and construction, must adhere to strict religious and cultural laws. Deportation is a frequent consequence for those who violate the kingdom's rules, and American citizens are not granted special leniency. Reasons for deportation in Saudi Arabia can range from possessing alcohol, engaging in unapproved social interactions, or displaying content that contradicts Islamic values. Some Americans have been arrested for simply sharing personal photos on social media that were deemed offensive. Additionally, Saudi Arabia has increased scrutiny on foreigners following the implementation of the Saudization policy, which prioritizes Saudi workers over expatriates. As a result, many American workers have lost their jobs and been forced to leave. Deportation here can also occur without due process, especially if an employer files a complaint or if an American is involved in any legal dispute. In Saudi Arabia, being a foreigner means living under constant surveillance and risk. Number 5. Mexico. Despite its close ties with the United States and its popularity among American retirees and remote workers, Mexico has begun deporting Americans at a rate not seen in decades. The country's immigration authorities are enforcing stricter rules, especially in response to a growing number of long-term foreign residents who failed to acquire proper residency status. Tourist visas in Mexico typically last 180 days, but many Americans have been abusing this system by repeatedly exiting and re-entering to reset their stay. This practice is no longer tolerated. Immigration officers are now denying entry or deporting individuals found to be living in Mexico permanently without legal authorization. Moreover, American expats who failed to pay taxes, violate local property laws, or disrupt community harmony are also being targeted. Even online influencers and remote workers who promote life in Mexico without legal status have been deported after their content was reviewed by authorities. With increased national pride and tighter border enforcement, Mexico is no longer ignoring Americans who assume they can stay indefinitely without following the rules. Deportations are not only real, they are on the rise. Number 6. Thailand. Thailand has long been a magnet for Americans seeking an exotic lifestyle, affordable living, and warm weather. Cities like Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and Pattaya boast thriving expat communities. However, many Americans overlook the strict visa enforcement Thailand has implemented in recent years. Even minor infractions, such as overstaying by just a few days, can trigger immediate deportation and a ban from re-entry. Thai immigration authorities have become extremely vigilant, conducting random visa checks at residences, co-working spaces, and tourist areas. Americans working remotely from Thailand without a proper work permit, under the assumption that it's acceptable since the job is US-based, are often caught and deported for illegal employment. Additionally, disrespecting Thai culture, participating in protests, or making any comments perceived as negative toward the monarchy can result in arrest, blacklisting, and deportation. Some Americans have even faced detention in immigration jails before being flown back to the U.S. with a permanent ban on returning. Number 7. Philippines. The Philippines, with its English-speaking population and historical ties to the U.S., has long been considered a comfortable place for Americans to retire or work remotely. However, in recent years, the Filipino government has dramatically increased deportations of foreign nationals, including Americans, for reasons ranging from visa overstays to criminal records and even moral conduct. Many Americans assume they can easily extend tourist visas or live in the country without formal residency, but immigration authorities are cracking down hard. Routine background checks, especially during visa renewals, have exposed Americans with pending legal issues or past criminal records, which is enough to justify deportation under Philippine law. Furthermore, Americans found engaging in unlicensed business activities, working without permits, or behaving inappropriately, such as disturbing public order or disrespecting local values, can be quickly flagged as undesirable aliens. Some have even been deported for being outspoken on political or religious matters, which are highly sensitive topics in the country. Number 8. United Arab Emirates, UAE. Dubai and Abu Dhabi have become glamorous destinations for Americans chasing high salaries and luxurious lifestyles. But beneath the polished skyscrapers and Instagrammable beaches lies a legal system that operates very differently from the U.S. The UAE enforces strict moral codes and zero-tolerance policies, and Americans unfamiliar with the cultural expectations are increasingly finding themselves deported for behavior that would be considered normal back home. Acts such as public displays of affection, using vulgar language, consuming alcohol without a license, or posting offensive content online can result in arrest, detention, and immediate deportation. Even something as simple as a heated argument in public or a complaint from a local resident can escalate into a legal issue. In recent years, the UAE has deported several Americans who were involved in minor altercations, social media controversies, or even workplace disputes that were deemed inappropriate. The government reserves the right to deport individuals without formal trials if they are considered a threat to public morals or harmony. Number 9. Turkey. Turkey is a country with rich culture, stunning landscapes, and a complex political environment. It has also seen a surge in American deportations, especially in the wake of increased tensions between the U.S. and Turkish governments. In recent years, American journalists, missionaries, and expats have been detained and deported for allegedly engaging in activities against the national interest. Americans who participate in political discussions, protests, or anything that could be perceived as critical of the Turkish government may find themselves under surveillance. Turkey has a broad definition of national security threats, and being even loosely associated with certain groups can lead to blacklisting and expulsion. In one high-profile case, an American pastor was jailed and later deported, sparking international headlines. However, lesser-known cases involve tourists or digital nomads who unknowingly cross red lines. Even social media posts made from outside Turkey can be used as evidence for deportation if authorities deem them inflammatory. Number 10. China. China maintains one of the most opaque and strict immigration systems in the world. While American students, teachers, and businesspeople continue to visit and reside in cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou, they do so under increasingly tight scrutiny. The Chinese government has become less tolerant of foreign influence, and Americans have been targeted in political retaliation, immigration sweeps, or suspected espionage. Some Americans have been deported for overstaying visas or working in jobs that didn't match their visa category. Others have faced expulsion after being accused of spreading religious materials, which is illegal under Chinese law. The government monitors internet activity, social networks, and even personal correspondence. Additionally, deteriorating U.S.-China diplomatic relations have led to more arbitrary detentions and deportations, sometimes without formal charges. Americans involved in legal disputes, even civil ones like business disagreements, are also at risk of exit bans, where they are trapped in China and later deported after the case concludes. The global perception of American travelers and expats is shifting. In a world where immigration policies are tightening and cultural expectations are being more strictly enforced, no one is above the rules. If you're planning to live abroad, always know the law, respect the culture, and stay up to date with visa requirements.